actually get to see what we are talking about while we getting this set up for you guys. Just give me a brief moment here. All right, just give me a brief second while things are getting set up. Almost done. Just give me a brief second. Like I said, we are almost done with that. All right, there we go. Just give me a second, guys, a brief second. We are almost done. And we are done. There we go. And just allow me one brief second, guys. I just need to bring this up on the screen so that you guys could see it. I'm waiting for it to pop up on the screen now, and hopefully you guys have a good screen. Wait, Sengo, pull it up for me right here. No, on this side. Yeah. Wait, let me see. Yeah. Yeah. Put me in there. Hold on. Go ahead. Yeah, guys, so just give us a few minutes here so we could get things going. All right. And there we go. All right. Perfect. All right, guys. So how's everybody doing? As you guys know, I am Jean-Jacques, and I am in the real estate, insurance, and finance industry. And thank you guys that have subscribed to the channel. Thank you guys that have not subscribed yet, and thank you guys that actually subscribe. And thank you that is watching and have not subscribed yet to the channel, because I know sooner than later you're going to subscribe. And also thank everyone that has been supporting what I'm doing and what has been going on. And without further ado, guys, I have a great topic coming out for you guys today. I have a great topic that we're gonna bring to the table. And let me introduce my good friend here, Senghor, so he can tell you guys a little bit about himself, what he's about, and anything about himself. All right. So go ahead, Senghor. Why don't you take the floor and let the folks know some things about you, and so that they can know a little bit about you.
All right. Thank you, JJ, for inviting me to your Q&A. Hello everyone. So my name is Senghor Etienne. So I'm a computer specialist and application developer. So I've been in the field for quite some time now, and I've been doing some interesting stuff in the field right now. Today we're gonna be talking about an interesting topic. So as you know, I've been an entrepreneur, and also I've been an employee, and I've experienced some hard time as an employee and also as an entrepreneur. So today we'll share with you some of the experience that we have been through, as both the side of an entrepreneur and also an employee. So I'm gonna let JJ talk about this topic a little bit more.
All right, guys. Well, you guys just heard it. Thank you so much, Senghor, for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. So I do appreciate you guys listening, and thanks you guys as well, because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. So I do appreciate everything that you guys have been doing as far as listening and tuning in to the channel. So why don't I get going with letting you guys know exactly what I'm discussing today, so that we could get some kind of understanding of what we're about to talk about today. All right. So today, what we're talking about is how to survive environment through pandemic times, meaning that hard times, meaning harsh times, creative time. Because as you guys know, whenever we're talking about unemployment, come on now, guys, we're talking about hard times and where things need to be paid, and sometimes we're thinking about if the funding is there and if it is available. Right. So why don't we talk about that? We got a couple of questions that's on here. So the one thing is, we're gonna talk about 30 days. What is that? What does that mean to you? What is it that stand for? We're gonna give you guys some things that to look at, and also some actions to look at to take the proper step of necessary into shielding yourself and protecting yourself. So we're gonna formulate this as a Q&A. I'll ask some questions, Single. I'll have some answers for you guys. We'll have a lot of answers going on. So without delaying this, why don't we get going? Why don't we get things moving so you guys can see what this is really about, okay? So the first questions that I would say, Single, within the first 30 days, what do you think someone should be doing within the first 30 days of being unemployment?
Well, as you know, in the first 30 days of unemployment, it is a time that is very strategic, because what's happening is that in the first 30 days, everybody think like you're still working. So it's a time when, if you want to get a loan, or if you want to be doing some kind of financial move, in the first 30 days that you lost your job, is the time where you have to actually do all those moves. For example, if you want to do a loan consolidation, or if you want to do if you want to refinance your car, or if you want to get a personal loan, or everything, it's better that you do it in the first 30 days, immediately after you lose your job. Then you can actually start making the move to make it happen, because this is the time where you're going to have your last pay stub, and it's the time where they're going to probably verify information about your the last paycheck. So the earlier you start, like the first 30 days after employment, I think it's the best time to make all those moves. So if you have to actually make if you want to actually get a loan, or get your car refinanced, or do a loan consolidation, is the best time to do that during the first 30 days of unemployment.
Okay. I definitely have to agree with that, because within the first 30 days of getting anything taken care of, that's when everything is still fresh, your credit is still up there, and everything is still moving. So I do agree with what Single just said. Within the first 30 days would be the right timing, the right time frames to get something like that done. So I would agree with that. So the next thing I would have to ask is, is we all wonder and about our paycheck. We all think about, hey, what, if we don't have a paycheck, what's gonna happen? What's the next move for us? So, Single, what is it like, to with spending your last paycheck? What do you have to say about your last paycheck when it comes to being unemployed?
Well, the last paycheck thing is something that I know very well, because I have experienced some time of unemployment during my career. So I've been working now for more than 15 years. So one or twice I've experienced unemployment. So I kind of know a little bit what it's about. Sometimes we get in a state of panic. For example, when by the day when you lose your job, and you get in a state of panic because the last paycheck is the only money that you're gonna have. But when you get that last paycheck, instead of diving into a state of panic, the best thing to do is to turn that last paycheck into a future asset that can help you toward surviving that time of uncertainty. Because what's happening, the last paycheck, when you are working, you were living under the impression that whenever you get a paycheck, next week or 2 weeks later you're gonna get another paycheck.
Right, right.
But that last paycheck is the last paycheck that you're gonna get as income in that particular job.
Yes.
So what's gonna happen is that the best way I think people should be using that paycheck is that once you know that you're not gonna have a job anymore, that paycheck that you receive, it gotta be repurposed.
So it needs to be shortened.
Yes, it
Okay,
needs to
good,
be
good.
repurposed immediately, because what's gonna happen is that, let's say uh that you have certain bills, or you have certain utilities, or certain debts that you want to pay, or you were actually uh using that paycheck as your, as you would regularly with your
So in other
with your
words, that
past
last paycheck, you need to really pay attention to what you're spending it on.
Yes.
Okay,
So
okay.
one of my recommendations for the last paycheck, so the last paycheck would be what you would use, for example, to pay 3 months of rent, for example. If your last paycheck is big enough, you can you can use your last paycheck to pay 2 to 4 months of rent. I mean, 2 to 3 months of rent. You can put it there just to pay rent and utilities. Those kind of very critical, because you cannot afford to be without somewhere to live.
Okay. So
Here's
here's the one thing we're looking at. So someone has to really pay attention to that last paycheck, because that last paycheck is hey CC, how are you? How are you, friend? Yes, thank you for being here. Hello, hello, Erling, Vilma. How's everything? How's everybody doing? Listen, the one thing is, guys, while you guys are on here, please, connect with one another. If there's someone that you do not have, show them love, to connect with them, okay? So that, we could be one family, so everything could move as smoothly as possible, as cool as possible. There's a couple of things here that's, we're trying to talk about, which is how to survive during unemployment pandemic. So, it's an interesting topic. Thank you guys for showing up. I do appreciate you guys' time, and I appreciate everything. And thank you guys for showing up. Thank you. So we just got done speaking about your last paycheck. So we're gonna move into something that's a little bit more into the unemployment line, to see how it goes. Let's just say if you depending let's say on a spouse, of what could happen and how things could offset that kind of situation. So single, if I was to say I have a wife, or I don't have a wife or a spouse, how would unemployment actually affect the household?
Well, I mean, for sure. I mean, the topic of unemployment, it will affect the household. I mean, I know that some people, in some typical family, usually like the man is working and the wife sometimes is not working, but if you're fortunate enough and you're working and your wife is working, by the time that you lose your job, so the money that you get from your spouse become an asset to you. I mean, it's the time where you guys have to merge income and to actually combat the unemployment as a united front. Actually, it's to put this money together, and as a resource that to go. One of the thing that you do when you lose your job is to identify what are the resources that I have, and a spouse is also a resource. A working spouse is also a resource that you have in budgeting for this unemployment time.
Okay. Actually, I do agree with that. Listen, guys, don't forget to thumbs up the live for me, okay? Don't forget to thumbs up the live for me. And thank you. If there's a questions that you have, if there's any kind of question that you have, please type it up in the chat box so that we'll be able to see it. So we'll be able to respond to, whatever question that you guys may have. Okay? And thank you, guys. So I actually do agree with that, Senghor. You are actually right on the money. You are correct. In a household, there's it's crucial that if you become unemployed, and your other spouse that we used to put two income together, that could mean catastrophic, which means in a real bad situation for the other spouse, meaning that they actually start carrying on to that weight and they start actually carrying on to that burden. So I do agree with that. The next thing is, we would have to look at, being that unemployment is such a heavy thing, is, what would we be looking at when it comes to, let's just say something like inventory due date. Number one, what does that actually mean to have an inventory due date? What does it stand for? So, Single, what would you say with regards to inventory due date? What do you think?
I mean, I think it's important to do your inventory of due date. So once you get unemployed, the reason why you have to do that, because sometimes, let's say, you've been paying your car for quite some time, but you didn't realize that by paying your car on time. Maybe the due date, maybe you lost your job, let's say in December, and because you've been paying so good, and you don't realize that because you were paying so good, you were paying on time always, and that you have a due date that's due. Let's say the car payment is due in February 15th, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So that means in January, if you were to make a car payment in January, you can skip that payment and pay it in February. So having an inventory of due date will help you a little bit juggle with the money on where to pay things and where not to pay, to prioritize some other items.
Right. No, I definitely agree because timing is everything, especially if you become unemployed. If you become unemployed, and come on, guys, you guys know, unemployment is not an easy thing. Everyone that's actually had a job, that lost a job, or anything that happened to anything like that, unemployment is not an easy thing. Unemployment is a hard thing to deal with. That's something that I know unemployment is not an easy thing to deal with because I've been on both sides of the fence, on the entrepreneur side and on the employee side. So it's a very ugly scene to be unemployed. So I do actually agree with that. Timing is everything if you are unemployed. Because don't forget, you still have your bills, your car notes, and everything else, and daycare. Well, not daycare because you're unemployed, but you're gonna need somebody to watch the kid while you go out and apply or to interview or whatever that you're doing. Everything is done online now, but it is a heavy thing. So the other thing is doing another type of inventory. There's another type of inventory. So if somebody becomes unemployed and to do inventory of available funds, not inventory of due date, but inventory of available funds. That's another type of inventory. Which I'm gonna turn the table back to Senghor so we could get to see what is that actually like and the definition behind that. So what do you say about that, Senghor?
Yeah, I think once you get unemployed, I think it's important to evaluate what are the funds that you have available. Take a look at your line of credit if you have credit, or if you have credits are not funds, but this is a set. This is a set that you have that you can use. But check what do you have in savings, what do you have in checkings, what things that you have, what kind of cash that you have, what kind of things that you can sell. All of those things. Those are kind of funds available that you can use as emergency. So I don't recommend, for example, by the time you get unemployed, to use your savings. Your savings should be used as the last resort in your emergency situation. From time to time, you're gonna be tapping into your saving, but I don't recommend once you get unemployed to kind of tap into your savings right away.
Okay, great. So, in other words, your saving, like you just said, should be something that you lose. Not lose. You use at the last minute. It's not. Don't quickly jump into your savings and say, you know what, I have my savings and I'm gonna use it. That's pretty much right.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Listen, that's a lot of powerful information. Number one, Senghor, I actually thank you because there's a lot of folks that don't really understand how that actually works and formulate, and I'm glad that you have that knowledge and information to share with some folks out there. Because listen, don't don't get yourself caught up and be hurt and not listen to the information, because that's a lot of powerful information that we bringing forth and for you to understand. So I definitely thank Senghor for bringing this information forward. So then one other thing is, I wanna talk about is, tying yourself to a job position, tying yourself to a company. How do you let go of from being unemployment? Say you even had the position for 3, 4, 5, 10 years. How do you let go of something like that you already had some kind of self tied to? So, Senghor, how do you feel about something like that? To tying yourself to a company, to a title, to what the company represent. What do you say?
Well, I mean, the first thing I gotta say is like job security is a myth. There is no job security. I mean, you can be in a job for whatever, 10 years, 5 years, 3 months, and as a good professional, I think the best way to embrace job security, I mean, it's not on the employer side to implement the job security for you. You are the one to actually implement your own security, your own like income security. There are plenty of ways that you can do that. By applying for any type of insurance, like life insurance, like disability insurance, or you have some kind of HSA and things like that. So, and also by building like what is called an emergency fund as you're working. I think one of the first priority that you should have when you're working is to build that emergency fund. That emergency fund is a fund that's gonna help you in hard time, particularly. But as far as tying your job to tying your value, your self-esteem to the job. I mean, one of the way that myself I was able to overcome that is that I took every day that I work in a job as an opportunity, as an income opportunity. So I don't see myself like because the sometimes the job market is a little bit uh, um, is a little bit unstable sometimes. Yes, you can have a stable job; it can last 1 year, 2 years, but you never know when things can change. You can be in a job for some time and then they change the manager, and then things starts to crumble down. Or you're in a job for some time, some kind of thing happen, a new project or things like that, and things like uh, start not working the way they used to. So I would say, one of the way that you can overcome that is to when you walk in a job, always walk in the job as today is your last day. If you work in a job as today is your last day, is always your last day. Then whenever you lose the job, you'll be more prepared to
I agree.
actually confront what's ahead. I mean, but to be able to do that while you're working, you must be also working toward that objective of saving for emergency. You won't be able to do that. I mean, you won't be able to be prepared if you're not saving for emergency while you're working. And it's something it's a skill that's very important to have when you are actually working to save for emergencies.
Okay. I actually do agree with that, because a lot of people, they actually have they actually they go to some sort of mode of thinking of autopilot, meaning that once they get a job and they think this job is it, and they can never get fired, or this is what is gonna be forever, and then when this takes the next turn and they turn their lives into chaos and not knowing exactly how to really go about repairing themselves from that. So actually, you're right. Walking into a job, looking at it as today is the last day, is a good way to really think about it, because therefore you're prepared for whatever's coming your way. Whatever the situation might bring, you're actually prepared for it. I agree with that. So the one other thing that we are looking at is, how do you deal with, as far as things like, for an example, churches, nonprofit, or anything like that in that category? How do you deal with something like that when it happens to you in that category? What are you actually looked at in that category, or what are you supposed to be doing when you become unemployed with regards to that category? How do you feel with regards to that?
Um, well, I mean, in terms of like churches and non-profit organizations, I mean, those are some resources as well that you have under your belt sometime. Let's say if you're working and you're part of a church or a nonprofit, or you have some nonprofit that helps some people in the community. I mean, it's good to see what kind of help you can get from them. I know that some nonprofit, or one of the first resort and one of the first set in regards to churches. Some churches, sometimes they you can reach out to them and they can offer to pay for you. Some, it may be a month of rent, maybe 2 months of rent, or maybe they can help you in certain way. So everything that you can get out of them is an asset toward your survival budget. If they can give you food, take it. If they can give you a month of rent, don't say no, take it. If they can give you 2 months of rent or 1 month of rent, whatever you get, because if you get 1 month of rent, that's whatever you budgeted for the rent before, plus that month of rent. That's one more month of rent that you can survive on. And while you're working on getting unemployment, so in case like you get unemployment, sometimes you can get it, sometimes you cannot get it. But those are some survival strategies that you can use to actually get your church to pay some month of rent for you, or get you some helping food and things like that.
Okay, so then you're actually saying, if someone become unemployment, there's other resources that's out there that could possibly help you.
Yes.
So things like churches, the church that you go to, or other churches that might help out with food, and
And some
some
nonprofits
church.
too, like Salvation Army, like sometimes Catholic Charities, and all of those. A lot of like nonprofit United Ways.
Yeah.
A lot of those nonprofit they provide some kind of help in those areas as well.
Okay, that's really good. That because some folks don't really know, or some folks might know, and they're too shy, or with their self esteem to. Oh, thank you so much, John Wilson. This is what she said is love it, guys. Are very informative. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for that. We appreciate that comment. Yes, if there's any question, please type your comments. So if there's any question, please type your questions so that we could answer them for you. All right. So as you guys just heard it, there is other resources that's out there. So if you become unemployed or anything like that and going through hard time, there's actually ways of actually places to help you and kind of pacified you, make it a little bit easier for you to get some services done. We're not saying those places will, but at least you could try and see how they could help you with something like that. As far as getting your rent paid, your church might help, or other churches might help you pay part of your rent or some of your rent. Some might give you some food, some might give you some stuff, some might help you pay your phone bill. As Singo just said, there's a lot of things that's out there. There's a lot of resources that's out there. So do not be afraid to actually go forward and trying to get some help if you ever wind up in a situation such that. So the one thing is I want to tell you guys, a reason why I feel Senghor is a great asset to bringing this information to you guys. Early in in his self introduction, he said that he's an entrepreneur and he's into computer, right? The one thing is he did not mention he's not just an entrepreneur or just a programmer. He also has his own site, his own developed site by him that he could actually help you guys with a budget. So there's a lot of information about this. He could actually help you guys with your budget to where, you have this tool on your hand that helps you with your budgeting, that helps you with your monthly bills, that help you calculate things. So rather sitting and saying, oh my God, what am I going to do? How much money do I need to survive? How much do I need to get this done and that done? Even if you own a business, don't wait just because you're unemployed to start using that program, or just because. No, there's a lot of ways you could use it. You could use it in many different ways. If you own a business, if you're thinking about owning a business, if you if you have multiple businesses, if you have a project that you need to do and need to know how much it calculates, how much is done, or what needs to be done, that's the reason why. Joanne, hey Joanne, Sissy's calling you. So that's one of the reason why I truly, ask him and say, hey, listen, would you please join me into this Q&A and to bring in this information, because he has a lot of knowledge, a lot of information with regards to this, and I stand behind his work. So that's one of the reasons amongst many others. And guys, please don't forget to thumbs up the live for me. I appreciate all you guys. Don't forget to thumbs up the live for me, okay? And like I said, please do connect with one another that's on here, so that Sissy, I think Earlene is just a supporter. She's just a supporter. She's not a YouTuber. She's just a supporter. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Just News. So that's the one thing. Let me see if I could fix that problem for you. Tell me if it's better now. Let me know if it's a little bit better. Okay, Just News. Let me know if let me see. Let me know if it's a little bit better for you. All right. So that's really the key component of why I say, he would be a great asset to bringing into this live. The one thing is, we about to get into budget tools, how to properly budget, on something like that. Which Singo have a lot of tools. He has a lot of tools in his toolbox to help us out on how to really budget when it comes to something like that. So guys, Singo, what do you think about unemployment when it comes to budgeting? When it comes to tools, what to use? Won't you? You'll know best how to best pursue with that. Go ahead.
Thank you, JJ, for also talking about that, because one of the most powerful financial weapon that you can have, especially like when you want to succeed financially. I mean, I don't say that it's always easy, but it takes time. It takes some discipline. Is to have a budgeting system, a budgeting scenario that you can work with. So without a budget, I mean, what a budget does to you, I mean, the way when you start using a budget, when you start being serious about your finance, and when you want to be on top of your finance, and then you start with a budgeting system that can help you plan for the future, or that can help you know what is the state of your finance right now. Because sometimes you can, without a budget, you can end up wasting a lot of money, for things that you have, and you don't know if you have them. For example, let's say you have $1,000 in your bank account, and you want to buy something that's $500. If you don't have a budget, you would think that because you have $1,000 in your bank account, you can spend $500, but it's not always the case. Maybe you have $1,000 and you want to buy something in particular, then maybe what you can only afford to spend on that particular thing is $100. You don't really have $1,000 to spend. You have $100 to spend on a particular topic. But a budget can help you better plan your finance. Maybe that thing you cannot buy it now. You have a better capacity to say to know when to wait and to know when to go forward with something. Sometimes you have the money for it, sometimes you don't have the money for it, but your budget will give you some confidence when to go for something and when not to go for something, when to wait. And I mean, it will change your way about finance. If you guys want some help, I've developed a couple of budgeting tools, application myself. If you need some help in how to budget, some tools, I can help you guys with budgeting and prepare for your emergency situation. So I'll be happy to help you with that.
You guys just heard it. So that's what I was just telling you guys. He has certain applications that he himself have developed. He himself have tested and used, and that's actually functioning. And guys, don't forget to share the live for me. Don't forget to share it. I know you guys have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all that other good stuff out there. Please don't forget to share the live for me. If you have a community, don't forget to share it out to community, your YouTube community. I would really appreciate it. Thank you guys. So, as you guys just heard it, budgeting is a major driving factor. He cannot stress enough how serious budgeting is. When it comes to budgeting, everything in life we're gonna budget. Even if you think about it, just walking from here to your car, you have to budget how many steps you're gonna take. So why not use the proper tools that works? Why not use the tools in the application that actually work for you? That's gonna be there when you actually need it. If you guys need any assistance with that, any kind of help with that, Sengo will be a great person to contact. His application, his software is great, top notch. That's my belief that it is the best out there, and that belief system is still gonna be in me because that's just what I believed in. If you guys need assistance with that, please reach out. Comment down below. How do I contact Sengo? How do I get his help to get my budgeting done? How do I get this? How do I need, whatever questions that you might have for him, please just let me know so I could get you in touch with him. Hey, I'm here to help. As you guys know it's all about helping, knowing information. It's about passing the information forward. All right? So don't be shy to ask for questions. So, the one thing is with regards to unemployment. A lot of folks, when they become unemployed, they looked at their employee benefits, like things like 401k or, their own personal benefits like Roth IRA, traditional, and not realizing, these things, there might be other means or other avenues of sustaining their unemployment. So I'm gonna let Sengo take on to that to say, what he feels about that or how he feels that should be best implemented.
Okay, so in regards to 401k or IRA, those are funds that you normally should be reserved for your retirement. I don't usually advise tapping into those funds, but it depends. It all depends on your situation. Let's say that you apply for unemployment and you get denied. You don't get unemployment and you have to spend some time fighting for unemployment. So sometimes instead of going to a bank and get a loan, you can tap into those funds. If you have enough, let's say you have 10,000 or maybe 25,000 for 1K, why not? You can tap into those funds to actually prepare for the time of unemployment. That's one thing. But if you have, I would say, if you have access to loans, if you can get a personal loan, I would probably advise to go for a personal loan instead, and then leave the 401k as a last resort. That's like the very last resort when your saving is done, when everything is done, then you can tap into your 401k to budget for a couple more months. Let's say you've been unemployed for 6 months, or you've been unemployed for 8 months. You have used everything. Then 401k could be a way to budget again for another 6 months and to kind of help you look for a job in the next 6 months, remaining month, that so that could give you a good break of a year without having a job and still looking for a job. But when you look for a job, when you're unemployed and you look for a job, looking for a job becomes your full-time job. That means you got to spend 8 hours a day take some break. It's important to take some break, but almost 8 hours a day looking for a job. And if you end up like making 10, 20 applications a day, that's about 600 applications per month. So eventually, if you do like 3,000 applications, someone out of those 3,000 will contact you.
That is true. That is true. Hello, life, everything under the sun. Sengo was just speaking, so I didn't want to interrupt him. I didn't want to interrupt him for 401k or 403b. Now, okay. That's Cece's question. Cece's questions is, should we remove 401k or 403b now? Okay, so is the question is, should you be removing it, Cece, or just get me a little bit clarity on that? Because if let's say for an example, if you was to lose your unemployment, if you was to lose your employment, and if you have a 401k at that employer, and there's a managing company that's holding it, or a 403b, which is for a nonprofit, for things like teachers, your any nonprofit type of place. At that point, I would definitely talk to an advisor to try to move it to to a IRA of some sort, to get so that you could preserve that. A lot of folks, when it comes to 401ks and IRAs, or even 403b, I'm glad you mentioned 403b. I never, we didn't bring 403b in. I don't know why that was left out, but I'm glad you brought it up. So a lot of folks use it as a personal savings, and the saving for that is meant for your retirement, which is why there's a penalty on that. And if you touch your 401k or 403b or Roth IRA, or traditional IRA, all of them works differently. They're not all the same functions. They all operate within their own means, and it's all savings for retirement. And a lot of folks don't realize that, how much they're losing when they start messing with that kind of stuff. Which is why I believe Sengo saying, leave that for the absolute last option, because those are supposed to be for your retirement, so that when you are entering into a retirement stage, whether at 59 and a half, or you choosing to go at 65, or whatever the case might be, so you'll be able to use that as into a retirement account, so that you'll be able to sustain your style of living, at least try to sustain your style of living. So that's something that that's definitely needs to be touched on. What if you could give me a little bit more on what you're trying to say with regards to that question, and we'll try to pinpoint best to how to get it for you. Sengo also mentioned life insurance. A lot of folks don't realize, the importance behind life insurance, and how it could work, how it could actually help you in hard time. Life insurance is. Oh, the microphone is cracky. I am so sorry. Listen, let me know if it's better now. Let me know if the microphone. Oh, the microphone is cracky. I am so sorry. Listen. Let me know how it is now. How is it right now? Is it still the same? Just let me know, okay? So yes, guys. So there's a lot that goes on with that. There's a lot that goes on with that. That's something that should be taken very serious when getting things done, when you preparing for a saving. Yes. Okay. So yes, it is better. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for letting me know. Thank you so much. So life insurance should be one of those things that should be taken very seriously when preparing for all this. So all these things is really tools that could be used. But today it wasn't about life insurance, so we're gonna keep going forward with regards to what's best for unemployment.
But JJ, before we move to unemployment, so in this time of pandemic, there's a lot of 401k account that's going down. So what would be your advice, as a financial advisor for people at 401k or IRA out there right now? Because the 401ks and IRAs are getting down. So would you recommend people getting them out or leave them on the account? Or
What's my take on that?
what's your take on that?
You know, a lot of folks, you know, you get a lot of folks that say, you know, the stock market is bad, or you know, they lost money. Most of the time, people lose money because they quit to jump off the ship. You know, when the market is it's like a roller coaster. You know, you go down, you go up. You know, but if you pull out and you pull out at the bottom of the ramp of the roller coaster, now when it's going back up, you're gonna lose. You know, you're gonna lose on that. And that's a lot. That's the one thing, you know, a lot of folks don't quite seems to understand is, you know, to stay. You enjoyed it while it was good, while it was growing, while it lasted. So you also need to embrace when it's also taking a dive, so it could come back up. You know, I do not recommend, you know, anybody pulling out on anything that they may have if they have some sort of, you know, investment out there, whether it's Roth IRA, personal stocks and bonds, you know, anything like that, because it's going to go back up. The market always has self-correct itself. It don't make sense for you to jump off the ship and not knowing where your rescue is coming from. You know, you always need to, okay, it's better to have one penny and knowing that you lost it in your pocket, but it's still in your pocket.
Okay.
Then to remove that penny, to put it on the table, and for a kid or a child or anyone to stop by and take that penny, now you really lost that penny.
Okay.
Because you don't know where it is now.
Okay.
So the safety net, I truly believe that no one should be jumping ship, because it's gonna, you know, that ship is gonna be there. So guys, you know, we're gonna keep moving. So if anybody have a question, please type it up in the chat so I could get that question answered for you, so that we could get things going, we could get things flowing. Like I said, you know, if there is a question, I want to answer it for you. If there is something that's on your mind, someone that's going through, or whatever the case is, I wanna answer it for you. I have been buying more stocks. Actually, this is a smart move. That's a great smart move to do, because while everybody's selling and afraid of what's about to happen, this is the best time for anybody to jump in and start buying stock. You are right. This is the best time, because you're buying it low, you know, and then once the market self-correct itself, it's gonna go high. And hopefully you keep it once it's high, because then that's could also, you also look at that as part of your retirement. You know, it's not just, hey, I bought stock and I made a couple of dollars. You know, some folks have that whole thing kind of backward. It's supposed to be a long haul. You know, meaning that you purchased it, you hold it, and you let it ride. When I say you let it ride, you hold it for some years when it really works, when it fully matured into its full faith value. So guys, we're gonna move into something a little bit, which is you know, some of the unemployment actions that, you know, that could be taken. Some of the things that could actually be helpful when it comes to something like that. And you know, the one thing is we're gonna talk about is, you know, avoid buying on credit. So, you know, as we all know, you know, we in America, yes, those other part of the world that use credit, we love credit. I love credit. I enjoy using credit card, you know, but that doesn't mean it's the right method. That doesn't mean it's good for you. So be careful with that. Credit could be a trap. But before I even get to talk about anything like that, I'm going to ask Senghor, how does he feel and what is his thought on, you know, on credit when you become unemployed? Senghor, what do you think about something like that?
Okay, so one of the things is that when you become unemployed, I mean, you don't have income anymore. That means you cannot afford credit. And one of my achievement, I would say, in the past 5 years, to be able to eliminate all credit cards and switch that back to my emergency fund. So having an emergency fund is what will replace the credit card. When you work in building that emergency fund, it will help you avoid having to use credit card. So earlier I was talking about, for example, when you lost your job, you get a personal loan. There's a difference between getting a personal loan, which is a credit, and you use credit card when you don't work. which is terrible because having a debt of credit card, because those are small expenses. Where a personal loan it's a debt that you take once and for all, and then you pay it back with fixed amount. But having a credit card, it's a vicious circle that you keep buying and paying, you keep buying and paying, and you'll never be able to pay that credit card after some time. And it's a disastrous thing to do when you are on unemployment. It's better to work tightly on a budget. So that's why having a budget is important. It will help you get out of the vicious circle of the credit card.
Actually, I do agree with that, which is why I said I was going to let Senghor jump into that. Let me tell you, credit card is a great tool, and which we all could say we love credit card. It's it's an awesome tool to use. It's an awesome tool to have. At the same time, guys, using a credit card. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Yes. Now we just resume. I'm sorry. I don't know what just happened, guys. I don't know what had just happened here. It just totally just had froze on me. But so having a credit card is a great tool. It's a great tool to use. We love using credit cards. But however, if somebody didn't hear what Senghor had just said, please let me know so we could have it repeat for you. All right, because for some reason the screen had just froze, and I don't know why it did that. It froze the LS. So credit card is a great tool. It's a great tool to use. However, definitely that's definitely important.
Keep in mind of something. That $100 that you get extra, that you didn't expect, that one that comes extra from a friend, from from Uber ride, from whatever it is. Think of it this way. If I use that money for myself to do whatever I want, that money could have been used to pay for something that I need. I can put it somewhere to be useful for something. So every little money that you spend that is that you think is not important was money that you were going to use to help you pay some extra for the internet bill, some extra for the car payment, or some extra for the rent or whatever, So that's why it becomes important to have a budget that lets you discipline your money that way.
Oh yes. Hey, Senghor, is there a way we could fix this? Give me 1 second here, guys. We're just working on something.
Good.
Okay, perfect. Yes. So we are, yes. Okay, great. So, guys, the next thing is, we want to kind of get into and kind of dive into is, should you or should you not stop paying your bills if you become unemployed? What should be happening? Should you be getting government assistance? Because I know a lot of folks with their pride, and they will miss out on help that they're supposed to be getting, and they will miss out on things that they're supposed to get, only because they so there's the stigmatism of oh my God, you getting government assistance, or you getting this, you getting that, and that's deemed to be bad. That deems to be on a different class of citizenship and all this stuff. So, Senghor, what do you think? Should people be getting that kind of assistance? Should they not be getting that kind of help? How do you feel about that?
Well, first of all, I would say is that there's no shame in getting some public help. The country is based on that. The country is based on the fact that if somewhere, some way that you lose your job or you need help, then that you go find help. There's no pride of getting help or something, because you don't have a job now. You need money. You need money. You need as much income as you can, and instead of paying your bill, actually when you lose your job, it is an opportunity to live sometimes without paying bills, because once you lose your job, a lot of help becomes available to you.
Mm-hmm.
Now you don't have income, you can't pay your electricity bill. You know, there are programs, I don't know what states you live in, but there are programs that can help you pay some, instead of you paying electricity or gas or whatever, you can get the government to pay those basic bills like electricity and gas for you. And use that money that you were going to pay for electricity on something else, maybe for car payment, maybe for rent, maybe for other things. So it's important that you don't pay those bills once you start paying. And there are some programs that can help you sometimes. Whenever there is a shut-off notice or something like that, then the government kicks in to help you not lose those privileges while you're
Well, I think that's good because I'm glad you shared that. Because there's a lot of folks, they move into that frame of mind of, if I'm getting, public assistance, is bad. If I'm getting government help, is bad. No, listen, you just lost your job. This is the best time to take, this is the best opportunity for you to say, you know what? I'm going to go and ask for help. I'm going to go and ask for assistance. There's nothing wrong with that. I do agree with you, Senghor. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
And one other thing
going and ask for
I
assistance.
want to say too, I mean, you pay for it. It's not free.
Yes,
I mean, they take
that's
money
true.
from your paycheck for this every month. So if you when you work, they take money for Social Security, they take money for public assistance. It's not totally federal government. It's taxpayers' money paying for those programs. So there's no shame in getting public assistance if you lose your job. And that's the best thing you can do.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. We pay for those things. So it makes no sense for us to be shameful if we have to go and get some help from the funded that we pre-funded to get that same assistant. So I definitely agree with that. Hello, Marie. How are you? How's everything? How you been? Thank you for liking. Thank you so much for liking the conversation. Thank you. Don't forget to thumbs up the live for me. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. So yes, guys. So that fund is actually your fund that you already paid for. You already spent on. So there's nothing wrong with that. To actually move forward and to go on and ask for some assistance. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So, the one thing is, the next thing, I believe we kind of touched on it earlier, as far as, tying your self-value to a job, as far as, what it means. But so we're going to move to, determining your minimum cost of operation to sustain your household if you were to ever lose your job. So what does that would actually mean for you? So the one thing is, Senghor will give I believe he'll give some explanation on what that means and also elaborate on it a little bit. So what do you think about that, Senghor?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that you got to determine, when you're working is how much can you afford to live what is the minimum cost of your operation? By operation, I mean paying rent, paying your bills, paying for food, electricity, and car payment. And those are the minimum cost of operation that you need to function as an individual. So you need somewhere to stay. You need to be able to pay your bills like electricity, and even those you can get help for it. You need food for sure. Even though you can get help for food, but you can still consider it as part of your vital operation cost. And you need to pay your phone bills. You need to be able to communicate, contact, and have internet connection, and also have a car to move around. I mean, if you have those 6 things, those are your minimum cost of operation. So once you're working, always determine what is the minimum cost, my minimum cost of operation. If I were to lose my job, what are the resources I can get to gather that minimum money to live my life.
Actually, that is true. So the one thing is, let's look at, you know, a lot of folks, they believe that they only have one set of skills, you know, one set of skills and that's it. So, you know, personally, I don't believe in that. Personally, I don't believe in that. I do believe folks have more than one skills. So, Sengo, what do you think about that? You think folks, you know, while they are unemployed, is that a good timing to start looking at other things, or what is your take on that?
I mean, you know, unemployment too is sometimes a time of, it's a great time. I mean, it's a time of self-discovery. I mean, you will discover while you're unemployed sometimes, if you were not an entrepreneur, you will see that your entrepreneurial spirit will start to flourish. You know, maybe while you were so busy being an accountant, you didn't know that you were a good cook. You didn't know that you were a good painter, or you didn't know that you were a good, personal trainer, or you didn't know that you were a good speaker. You know, those are some other skills too that you get, or you were like a good interpreter or something. Those are other skills too that you have that you can tap on, aside from, because you know, one of the things that, you know, sometimes we went to school and, you know, we choose a career sometimes, but sometimes the career that you choose is not probably your vocation. It's something that you end up doing because, you know, that was the trend, and then you just go to it. But that's probably not the real you. Maybe the real you is a great cook, you know. Maybe the real you is a great painter. Maybe the real you is someone who likes to care about people or something like that. You know, those are skill set that in case you lose the job and you're looking for a job, you are an accountant. Oh, yes, it's absolutely normal to find a job in the same field you were in. But in case you don't find something in the same field, the most important that you have to get in your head is not about the field, it's about income. You got to bring income in. It doesn't matter how you bring the income in, you got to bring the income in, whether you go for an accountant job or whether temporarily you do something that's helped you bring income to support your budget, to be able to live until that you realize your goal, you know, in life, you know, the goal to get something, you know. Because it's not about the job, but also, and I know that having the job in your career is important, in your field is important, but income comes first. Income comes first. It doesn't matter, you do the income, you do whatever you can to get the income in, even though you're not working in your field.
Perfect. Hey, Dijon, what's going on, brother? Qui a tout bail a fonctionné. Merci pour support. Thank you for coming into the live and supporting. I do appreciate that. Yes. That's for sure. Yes. So guys, you know, as I mentioned to you guys, if there's any questions, please type them up in the chat box, you know, so we could get those questions answered for you, so we could, you know, have a good feedback, so we could do things, you know, so we could get some questions answered for you here. All right, without a doubt. So we did get to you know, a lot of questions that, you know, I had asked with regards to you know, how to best deal and how to best cope with unemployment and how to best cope with tough time. And Senghor did a really awesome job into pointing out a lot of those situations. Just give me 1 second. Let me see, you know, what we got going on here. So, you know, we are tying things up into, you know, the final scene here, into looking at, you know, some of these personal things. As far as, you know, some of them we probably touched based on it, but definitely have not put the nail into the coffin yet. we are gonna tie it up into giving you guys some really really awesome tools as far as what to deal with. So I believe you should have enough funding to at least last about a 3 month time. Whether it's to unemployment or whether it's to whatever that you're doing, you're switching careers or whatever that the case may be, or if you planning onto a new budget, you need at least 3 months of income to sustain, whatever that you're doing. Yes, even more than that, which is why I said at least that, bare minimum. Bare minimum. So with that, Single, how do you feel when it comes to unemployment? How do you feel someone should shield themselves, and how much income do you think they should have?
Well, it's a subjective question because one cannot tell how much income that you should have. I think you should make an assessment to know what's important for you and how much do you need to actually live on. Some people have high income needs. They have high operation needs. Even though I think that the less, it doesn't matter you make 100,000 or 150,000. Your cost of operation should always be low. No matter what. It should be at a point where, even though you got this job, you used to live 100,000, and now you have 10,000. You should still be able to function, even though you don't have the same money anymore. But being able to function, no matter what happened, no matter what frustration happened in your salary, it's a very important thing to. It's a very important thing to kind of come up with, and it all comes to what is your cost of operation. Some people have 1,500, that is the minimum. Some people have 2,000. I don't believe that having $3,000 as cost of operation is a good thing, but it all depends. If you have $3,000 as cost of operation, 3,000, 5,000, I think per month it's too high. It's too high. I believe, depending on your life, unless you're Bill Gates, or unless you're rich and or you're very wealthy. And I believe that if you were wealthy, you wouldn't be working. You wouldn't be working. But if you're working,
hey, listen, even Warren Buffett's working, man.
Yeah. So I believe I'm talking for those who are actually working, making between maybe 50K and 100K,
right?
And even like 200K. So your cost of operation should always be at a point where, at the time where you lose your job, that this little money, that with little help or with little effort, you can come with it until you come out of the boat. So that was my advice. So I wouldn't recommend having more than 3,000 in cost of operation per month.
Right. No, I definitely agree. One strategy to look at is to always have your income above your expenses. If your expenses is above your income, then you have a problem. You have a serious problem to deal with, and to tailoring that. Either you're going to get a second job, or, well, if you're unemployed, you won't get a second job. You just get a job, but always to look at something like that. So, guys, we pretty much almost at the end of the live. If there is any questions, please thumbs up down below. And as I always tell you guys, I appreciate all you guys. If there's any questions, please comment down below. If there is anything that we missed, you feel that we could have covered, we should have covered, we didn't quite get a chance to cover, please let us know, so that on the next live that we are having with regards to this, Single and I could go over it, and we could discuss it for you. And outside of that, if you have not subscribed to the channel yet, please do subscribe to the channel. If you are watching and have not subscribed, please do so. For those of you that already subscribed to the channel, thank you. I cannot thank you enough. For those of you that are thinking about subscribing, please do so, because I do appreciate you and I do appreciate your feedback. I appreciate all of you guys. I love all you guys. Don't forget to share this to your friends, your family, your neighbor, your grandmother, your grandfather, your cousins, your sisters, your uncles, your co-workers, your next door neighbor, your next door neighbor's dog, if he could speak like us. So share it to everyone that's in your circle so that they'll be able to understand and get some information, some valuable information with regards to the information that we are bringing forward for you guys. And I do appreciate you guys. Senghor, is there anything that you feel that we didn't cover that possibly that you want to tell these folks, you want to explain to them, you want to tell them? Is there anything you feel that will be beneficial to them at this moment?
Well, first of all, I would like to say thank you for you guys to, because you have followed us. I think that's interesting. And I would encourage you to, start getting serious about budgeting, because budgeting is something that's very important. It's not good to, to work with money without a budget. It's always very good to have a budget. As I said, one of the most powerful financial weapon that you have against waste, against not being successful at your finance, is to have a budget. So once you start having a budget, you will see that your mind about money will start changing. You will see that the way you use money will be more efficient, and the way that you start thinking about expenses and things like that, all of those things will start to change when you start getting serious about budgeting and getting serious and what to be on top of your finance.
All right. So as you guys inserted, as you guys have it, thank you guys for coming. So we're gonna end the live, and I would love to see you guys again on the next live. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you all, and don't forget to subscribe and like and share the video, share the likes, and with your friends or whomever's in your circle, family members, friends, co-workers, even folks you don't like. Hey, listen, give them a gift. Hey, that's something that speaks for something. So I love you guys, and I'll speak to you guys soon, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.